Most barbers mess up wavers by over tapering the side. In this video, I'm gonna show you the steps that I take in order to get to a low taper without ruining the waves. So be sure to stick around to the end so that you do not miss the final results, as well as follow along so that you may pick up on some gems as I go step by step. To kick this off, as you can see, I'm going in by lifting up the hair off the scalp using my long tooth comb just so that I can pull everything from the surface and allow the guards to go through easier. A few questions I've heard before was, how low should you take the top? Ideally, that's dependent on whatever the client's ideal length for the top is. And if they don't have no idea, which I'm sure at this point in their career or their journey, having waves, they should know exactly what length. But typically wavelength is 1.5, 1.5, or a 2 guard to keep it dark. Some people go down to a 1, but that's, again, optional. And it does give a lighter effect if the lower you go, obviously. And you can go against the grain with waves. You just don't necessarily have to, but it's an option. But you just have to go up in the guard size. You have to use a higher guard length because obviously going against the grain cuts off more. And so if you go against the grain, you want to use a higher number guard. My client's been woofing for about 3 months, and so I'm just taking my time and maintaining client comfortability. Since my client wants a 1.5 on the top, I'm gonna start with a number 2 guard with the lever completely closed at the crown area, just so that I can keep that area dark while everything else flows in a little less, but everything comes together smooth, just maintaining the darkness in the crown just because the density typically is a little less dense. Now I'm gonna go in with the number 1.5 guard with the lever completely closed and follow up everywhere around the edges where I left off with the number 2. And now I'm just gonna completely go from the crown area that I left off into the actual hairline area, just so that everything is consistent. I wanna maintain a consistent pressure and just allow the clipper to cut the hair, not necessarily pressing into the waves, because I don't wanna run the risk of patching any of the waves, or I don't want to cross cut. So I'm just following each pattern as it grows from the crown to the hairline. And ideally, these are just curls laying down, and so you can see exactly which direction the hair is growing, so there's no guesswork. And don't be afraid to go over one area too many times, because there's no such thing. You do want to make sure that at every level of this wave pattern, it's even and laid down to the true guard length. To kick off the tapered area, I'm gonna start in and keep in mind that I have a low taper, and so I'm just gonna set my guideline in low enough but soft enough so that it's easier to get back out. Keeping in mind also the range that I have to work with. Going in with the lever open and setting in my next guideline here, I'm going in with the 1 guard with the lever completely closed. And again, keeping in mind where I'm gonna finish off. And so I'm going back with the grain with that same 1 guard, just smoothing out the top so that I can even out that area where the taper actually meets the waves. Dropping back down to the 0.5 guard here, and I'm just gonna work under that 1 and make sure that the very bottom of this taper, again, is tapered out because I'm keeping it low, not focusing on the bulk at the top. Same exact steps here. Now I'm going to explain how I take the lines out, as you know on the other side how I put the lines in and what guards I use. Now that I smoothed out the bulk at the top, I'm going to leave it alone, and now I'm going to work my way back from the 1 all the way to no guard with the lever completely open to close. And so I'm debulking that area right up under the 1 where you can see that line, that faint line is. Now I'm just going to transition from the half guard and slowly start working my way back down. I start with the lever open and just get out whatever I can without taking off too much, and slowly close it up. I rarely use it halfway. I just go straight from open to close, just because the subtle difference doesn't necessarily even make sense to even use the lever halfway with a half guard, in my opinion. And so I just open it, and if it doesn't work, I close it and it takes off just the right amount. And ideally, I'm focusing on that very bottom again. And now I'm working halfway here from open, and I'm gonna slowly just close it up as I go lower into the taper, using the edge of the blade, as you can see, just to detail the spots that you may not be able to get out, or you may take too much out with the full blade. So you want to use the corner to detail. And detailing is just erasing the little dark spots in between the consistency of the fade, just so that it can be more blurry. And you'll notice more as you cut. You'll see how to identify those areas as you step back from the client and look into the mirror, so that you can see a different perspective, or even just go to the other side and come back to it. Just rest your eyes on it so that you can see different things. Take a picture of it and see it from the camera's lens. Any way that you want to look at it, you can definitely get a different perspective, and so the detail work takes you to the next level. Here in the back, I'm starting up high enough where the hair is dense, just enough to set in a dark, solid line. Again, more panel space here to work with, and so I'm just gonna keep that in mind. I have a lot more room, a lot of area to cover, and so I'm starting ideally right up under the ears with my first initial ball line. Please do not spend a lot of time on the guideline that you set in. Just as long as it's enough to make a solid line and you understand where you started, that's just enough. You don't need to sit and spend a lot of time with the guideline, only because you're gonna end up taking it back out anyway. Going up to my one guard, again, as you can see, I'm spacing out these guidelines on purpose, but I'm setting them in super soft, because as you can see with the do-rag line there, I don't even need to go to my 2, so I'm going to my 1.5 with the lever completely closed, and I'm just gonna start feathering up to the waves, and I don't wanna go over this at all, so I'll go with the grain, if anything, just to smooth it back down. But this is just about how much I'm gonna go up, and anything from there will be taking it up too high, so you wanna be cautious with that. And the way that you identify that is, like we would like to say it, as the occipital bone, or just that piece of the head where the head actually protrudes in the back or sticks out. So if you were to run your hand from the back of your neck to the top of your head, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about, that lump right there. And for the sides on the temporal area, you will understand the same exact thing goes, and it's called a parietal ridge, but the same exact thing happens. The head protrudes a little on the outside, and they come in different shapes and sizes, obviously, but you also just want to have some type of reference. And so without being weird and rubbing your client's neck or side of their head, just notice and identify with the comb as you do the consultation and comb through their hair where the protrusions or where the indentations are, so you don't mess up your taper or your fade. Here you see me go in with the 1 guard with the lever completely closed, and then finish off with the 1.5 guard with the lever completely closed, feathering into the top. And so now I'm going in with the half guard with the lever open, and I took out the very bottom line with the lever completely closed in between no guard and the 1 guard, and then I detailed a little bit with the lever open with the half guard just to take out some dark spots, and now I'm all the way back to no guard at all. And so I hope that made sense. If you were following along, please hit that subscribe button if you have not already, so that we can get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. We're on the road, and we're about 50 subscribers away. A lot of people watching these videos. A big percentage of you guys are actually watching these videos without even subscribing. So please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you nothing. And it's actually probably lighting up or doing some type of different feature since I'm saying subscribe. Now I'm locking in with the holding spray just so that I can lock the hairline in and make sure that it stays in place as I go in and set in my lines. I'm gonna blow dry just so to get an extra freeze. And while that's drying, I'm gonna go into the neck taper and pull everything together. So when I set in my C-cup area, I like to start at the bottom and find the darkest or the fullest point of that C-cup. Then I start at the top and go to the fullest point without pushing it too far back. And now I'm just gonna meet in the middle. Notice where I set in my vertical bar exactly in between the peak and the very end of the eyebrow, and just right outside the eyeball, lined up with the eyelid. Typically, that's a good reference point. However, everybody's forehead doesn't come in the same shape and size, and so you should be mindful. But I've found it to be the most reliable reference. Starting in the middle here, now that the vertical bars are set in, now I'm just gonna walk to the top of each vertical bar from left to right, following that same consistent line. Do not move the trimmer too much, and do not turn it or angle it. Just completely flat, step by step. Wherever you leave off, that's where you place the trimmer back, and just keep connecting that line. Take a look at what I'm working with. As you can see, I just have to connect this line to that point. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just a little extra sauce I like to put on top of the waver cuts. Just go in with the lever completely closed and just skim over the top of the waves and clean up any stray hairs or loose legs or whatever you want to call them, and make sure that everything comes together seamless and it's smooth as possible, cleaning up that look. And it does 10 times the difference. Trust me, it takes no time. Might I remind you how my client came in looking, and as his barber, it's my job to show up and give him what he wants. But I knew I was gonna step a little different because I was gonna share this one with y'all. So as we proceed, without further ado, this is how he's leaving. This is the final results, and if you like this video, you learned anything, please share this video with a friend, family member, or fellow barber. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell. My name is Kel, and I'll catch you in the next one.